I'm afraid he doesn't understand how serious this is.
Well, after all, he knows what the military is capable of.
Johnny, we get bloody hundreds of comments here on the Ask Johnny channel inquiring as to how you come up with these amazing ideas for our shows. Well, Johnny, there's nothing too bloody special. I just look for things on a daily basis that give me the shits or trigger something in me mind, and hey presto, we come in here and we bloody waffle on about it. Yes. Yeah, it's nothing bloody special. Right, yes. But recently, Johnny, there's a subject that's caught my eye and got me thinking a little bit. Congratulations. Yeah, bias in scientific study. What are you talking about? Yeah, bias. It doesn't matter whether it's the pyramids or some fucking now or whatever, mainly bloody ancient civilizations and that. There's bias everywhere. Bias in the scientific community? Oh, Johnny, I don't think that. And something that's got a bit of publicity in the last couple of years or so. Right, yes. Because there's more research being done, is the Shroud of Turin. The Shroud of Turin? The Shroud of Turin. Now, they've been messing around with this bloody shroud for bloody near 100 years, trying to work out what the hell it is. Now, this is 2024. Am I right, Johnny? Johnny, what the hell has bloody scientific bias got to do with that? Well, in 2024, we should have a bloody better understanding of how they can bloody do this stuff. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's the age of the bloody linen or what the hell the stuff is that made the imprint or whatever. You've got two sides all the time, and it's obvious that there's bloody bias in action.
The Shroud of Turin is a rectangular piece of linen cloth, roughly 14.5 feet by 3.5 feet, which many people believe to be the burial shroud of Jesus. There's a faint sepia-colored image of a man's body on the shroud, the front of a man and the back of a man. The cloth would have been spread out. The man would have been laid on half the cloth, and then the other half would have been folded over him. That's why there are two images, the front view and the rear view, that look like they're connected at the head.
And you can see a lot more features in the positive light. So we have this mystery already of how do we get this photo-negative image on a shroud, centuries before photography was even thought about. And the image is on a non-photographic sensitive material. So already it becomes really quite intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, why can't they just come out and say, this bloody stuff's 2,000 years old, and it's this, that, and the other, and we can't work out how they've done it. Can we really not work out how they've done it? Inspirational or not? Or is that bias in itself where people who are fundamentally Christians are saying, we can't work how it's been done. It's impossible, so it must be a bloody miracle. Yes. Or are there real bona fide bloody non-biased scientists looking at it and saying, yeah, we can't bloody work out how it's been done, or what? Well, have you got an example of this sort of nonsense? Well, I do, Johnny. There's a priest here, he's waffling on, and there's no doubt in my mind he believes that the shroud is genuine. It's just because he's a priest. Well, yeah, I suppose. But, Johnny, don't make the mistake of thinking he may be wrong. I'm just saying he's got a bias, but that doesn't mean what he's saying is wrong. It may be completely bloody correct.
Image itself lies, and this is like a photographic negative image, and we'll talk about the three-dimensionality in just a moment. But the one thing to remember is that image is lying on the uppermost surface of the fibrils on the cloth. It never penetrates into the medulla of the fiber or into the middle of the cloth, just the uppermost surface of the fibrils. Now, that's where the crispiness is, as I was calling it. Now, that couldn't have happened because of liquids. If you, like, let's suppose you were trying to produce that image with a liquid. The liquid would have penetrated the middle of the fiber and to the middle of the cloth, just like that. And not only would it have penetrated in the middle, it would have also, started disintegration, producing a low temperature nuclear reaction simultaneously. As I said, the odds of that...
Now, I'm not talking about whether the bloody shroud is real, Johnny, although I suppose I am. What I'm talking about is bloody biased in the scientific community. So, Johnny, if there's bias in this bloody, how do we know there's not bias in every damn thing that's supposedly studied? Yeah, like some particular vaccines or something.
The tadpole rise. You see the big frog arise. You got to suffer to be born again.
Johnny, perhaps it is the very burial cloth of our Lord. What? What are you going to say to that?
We don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yes,
The Shroud of Turin. Is this the actual burial cloth of Jesus Christ, or is it, as skeptics have long claimed, a masterful medieval forgery? What if I told you that there is new scientific research that may have actually just shattered that skepticism? For centuries, people have debated whether this is the actual image of Christ himself imprinted onto the fabric at the very moment of his resurrection. And now, thanks to the groundbreaking work of Italian scientist Liberato De Caro, we may be closer than ever to answering that question.
Right, yes. New information, right.
With Dr. De Caro, whose research using a cutting-edge technique called wide-angle X-ray scattering, or WXS, actually strongly suggests that the shroud could indeed date back to the very time of Jesus. So what's the big deal about De Caro's research? Well, so the WAXS method analyzes the crystalline structure of the linen itself, and it does this without actually destroying the sample like in radiocarbon dating. It revealed that the fibers of the shroud are not medieval at all. They're actually much, much older. We're talking 1st century older. This method is non-destructive, it's precise, and it might just upend one of the most hotly debated scientific conclusions, literally of the last century, the infamous 1988 radiocarbon dating that claimed that the shroud was a medieval hoax. After we hear from De Caro...
Jesus, Johnny, I think you're bitten off more than you can chew with this particular bloody episode. But doesn't matter, Johnny. Don't we all need a bit of mystery in our life? What about inspirational or not? What if science did come out and said, oh, a load of bullshit. We can do it with this, and you can do it with bloody apple juice, and you can do it with all that sort of stuff. Well, that's convincing for you to do, unless it was a miracle. If it's a miracle, then anything's possible, Johnny. I don't care what they say about you, Johnny. But I don't think the scientific community out there is really open to miracles. They don't seem to be. And that could be a fault in itself. I mean, you could explain every bloody thing. The universe, everything is a miracle. So where does that leave us with the bloody Shroud of Turin? Jesus, it'd make things easier. It's all just a miracle. Well, Johnny, you've shown again to our viewers out there that you can just pluck a shitty bloody bullshit story just out of thin air. Big Bang? Well, just a miracle. It was a miracle, that little tiny thing that was there for eons and just fucking suddenly exploded. Creating the whole universe from that little fucking thing. It's just a miracle. So you would become a Christian? A born-again Christian?